Hello everyone, my name is Kelsounds, and today I want to show you how I made this Lo-Fi patch inside of Faceplant. Kind of just give you an idea of how you can create this yourself. And I'm also going to be leaving this patch in my Patreon, so if you remember that, you can go ahead and download it and kind of just open it up and look at it for yourself. But yeah, just kind of show you how I made it. I just thought it sounded very interesting. Thought it'd be cool to share with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this loop real quick. And I'll kind of just show you real quickly what's happening here with the sound. So I just have a normal wavetable generator with a sawtooth signal. And then I have some modulation going on down here, some effects, parallel mix, but we're just going to recreate this and just get down to it, I guess. So I'm going to start a new template here, nothing at all happening, so when I press play, no sound. And then I'm going to just go ahead and put down a analog generator. Oop. I'm going to lower the volume. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn down the sustain because I kind of want it to be a pluck noise. Make the decay slower. Lower decay. Yeah, that's about right, I think. Yeah, that's good right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some LFOs. Alrighty, so I have a new group here. I call it detuning and I put an LFO on it. And so what I'm going to do with this is modulate the unison, or not the unison, the sense of the signal. So I'm going to put it at 0.70 so I have a pretty, oops, that's not right. 0.70 so I have a pretty exaggerated effect here. And I'm going to slow this down, and it's going pretty slow. That effect, it's too exaggerated, so I'm going to go ahead and put this at 0.50 and see what that sounds like. That's more like it. Let's see if we make this a little bit faster. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the randomness of the phase. And I'm going to go ahead and turn up the decay. Sorry, a lot of this is just tweaking it out and listening to it and hearing what it sounds like. Oh, and I also have this on bipolar. So yeah, that's the first step, and as you can hear, it sounds like it's like this kind of like tape stop effect, which kind of just adds to the character of the sound. Alrighty, so that is the first step of getting the sound, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab a new group in lane 1 and call this the effects, and put in a bit crush because that's where most of the magic is going to be happening. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a distortion. I'm going to turn that off too. I'm going to add a slice EQ and kind of do this kind of shape, kind of like a bell shape here to kind of cut off the lows and the highs, to have the frequency set at a certain range here to make it sound like it's coming out of a radio. And so our first effect that we have is the bit crush, and this is pretty interesting. This pretty much just reduces the quality of the sound. So we have analog to digital conversion going on, and so what's happening is analog sound is infinite, so it's has to be stored, I guess you could say. And so we have the sampled rate here, and then we have the rest of the parameters that kind of work together to get the sound that we want to try and get. Quantize takes the individual points in time of a signal and rounds off the amplitude of those different points. And so when that happens, it creates, it gives the sound not an accurate characteristic. So when that happens, it kind of distorts the sound in a way, or creates harmonic distortion. And so to prevent that, we have dither here, which is, it just adds noise to the sound to add like background noise. But yeah, just to prevent harmonic distortion, and it adds a nice hiss to our sound. And then bits is just the amount of bits stored in a signal. So the lower the amount, the lower the quality, and of course the higher the amount, the higher the quality. So I'm going to go ahead and just mess with these. There's not a really specific values that you have to set these at. It's all just hearing it out by ear and seeing what sounds best. Let's see. And so this is the sound without the effect. And this is the sound with the effect. Which is kind of nice. It really reduces the resolution of the sound. You can kind of think of it as like the resolution of an image. It's like the higher the pixels, the higher the image. Basically what's happening inside of a bit crush is like the lower the pixels, or in this case bits, the lower the resolution of the sound, which is pretty interesting. And then I added a distortion unit. So I'm going to go ahead and add another new group down here and call this, I think I called it bias. And so what that does is, actually first before I do anything, I'm going to put another LFO, put this on infinite, grab another sine wave shape, put it on bipolar, and then I'm going to go ahead and modulate the bias here. And so this creates like DC offset, so it gives some more interesting character to the sound, and then have the mix, I think at 25. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on never. I don't want it to trigger, I just want it to keep going as the sound plays. Alright, so the sound is constantly shifting around and moving around. It's just very interesting. And then for the last thing that I did in this effects group was add a slice EQ. And like I said, I just cut the highs and the lows to kind of put it in a certain frequency range to make it sound like it's coming out of a radio. And there we go. Then I added a new group here. I called this Parallel FX. So I added a snap heap. And then what I did was I grabbed a dual delay to get a more of like an echo noise. And then I added a convolver with the First Baptist Nashville impulse response, which sounded pretty nice. And then of course a slice EQ to, don't forget to turn on parallel processing here, so it's working together, not in series. And I kind of just did the same thing, made this bell shape with a slice EQ here, and messed around with the offset. I'm actually going to expand this a little bit more. Voila! Cheez-Its! I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And so we just mess around with the dual delay. Actually, you know, I think I added a stereo too, so it's there's not so much stereo information going on in the signal. I'm going to put that down there for last. Alrighty, and then I added a convolver for reverb, of course. And then I added the slice EQ. And of course the stereo to turn down the width. I'm going to go ahead and make this even slower. And I made the bias even slower. And so this is the sound without parallel effects. And it's the sound with parallel effects. And of course you can always come in here and just adjust the parameters a little bit. Alrighty, and then for the last thing I think I did here was add another group. I'll call this mix. I added a filter, or two filters, so this is the first one. I'll add a second one. And then I kind of just went ahead and added a high pass filter, increased the slope a little bit. And then for this filter I added a low pass, increased the slope all the way I think, and then I turned on the Q. I just cut some more of the highs. And that is the sound. Oh, and of course the last thing I'll do here is add a decay, and then I'll just modulate the decay. So now I can have a short decay, and I can have a long decay. And of course you can change the wave shape here of the generator. Have a square wave, triangle wave, and a sine wave. Of course it'd sound interesting with unison too. Get some different characteristics to the sound. But yeah, that is pretty much how you would make the preset. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed. Adios.